Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, it's time, it's time, it's time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Here we go.
Welcome to the Crafty Mini and episode 1 of season 2. So starting off, we're going to get Sally's new body and show you how I actually made it. Now, some of the initial footage I did lose, unfortunately. Forgot to press record on the camera, which is always clever. But we're going to do a bit of magic now, and boomph, there we go. So we've got some foil to save up on clay and taped it all up with just normal masking tape. Then I've covered it in clay and added these bumps because the idea was, like the Pokemon card, which you'll see, she's got a couple of eyes at the front and a big mouth, which we all know.
Hey, you cheeky bleeder. I haven't got a
Well,
big
you
mouth.
have, haven't you?
Well, I have, but... Ooh.
So start off by getting a big worm of clay on top of the body and then blending it in with my ball stylus. And this is just a rough blend initially, just to get it all connected both inside and outside of the lips. And then I'll go in and smooth it all out after. Right, so she's getting a bit tetchy at this point. I've done an eye in the middle there, which you'll see later on I do change because I just didn't like the placement of it, and instead I put it on a stalk on the top of her head instead. I'm just going in now, smoothing everything out, rolling out all the bumps and adding bits of texture and things, and then going again with the ball stylus this way, just extending those eye holes, just so I can get everything to fit better and have better shapes for the eyes, because I'm trying not to use the ball bearings now. So this is the first of our stock, so I've just got a ball of clay, cut it in half, so I've got the two domes, and this is what we'll use to stick on the side of the head, which you'll see in a moment. So again, just blending everything in, and then you see this is the bump now. This is just making sure the clay sticks together, pressing it in to get rid of any air holes, getting the shape that I want, just so I can have like a big front facing eye, which you can see now, and we'll dig this out. And there you go, and this is the actual eye socket itself, and I'll add a bit of texture and detail to this as well in a moment. Again, those ball styluses, I've found are just my favourite tool at the moment with this. It's the first time I've used Polymer Clay, but really enjoying it. It takes a while to get it going, you've got to sort of knead the clay quite a bit, just to sort of get it so it can start being a bit more elastic and a bit more pliable, as opposed to air dry clay, but the fact that you can bake part of the way through is good, and sort of save it, if you will. So going through now, just adding some texture to the clay.
Ooh, ripples on my skin.
So the idea is she's going to have another eye on the other side there, and obviously Sally, we need tentacles, so you can see the other eye done exactly the same way, and I'm just blending in these tentacles now. I've not given her as many as the previous body, but we'll do like before and after of these as well.
These properly now, like what you humans, what do you call them? Those things that stick out the side of your body. Legs, that's it, legs.
And going in again, just texture.
No arms!
Just trying to add as much detail as I can. The amount of things I've learned during this process, I would say if you want to try Polymer Clay, just go for it. Chuck something together and just try things. The amount of footage that I've not put up of me trying things, getting rid of them, starting again, I think I spent about 4 or 5 hours just trying to get the body sorted on this, and then finally when I was happy with that I started going in and adding detail, because you just got to keep practicing. So this is just a worm with a flat edge that I can blend in for another tentacle that comes off the back, just to give it a bit of a different silhouette. And again, going in there and just rolling the metal balls around so you get a nice sort of, it's like a crumpled skin sort of texture. And I've seen other videos on YouTube, you can do things like this through cling film and that, to soften the amount of detail you do. So just getting all the tentacles shaped up the way I want it. Just smoothing in a few more bits. And I'm actually adding a bit of bacon bond on the underside of the tentacles, just to make sure they stick when it actually goes in the oven to cure. But there she is now. You'll see that middle eye, I'm not happy with it, and so I change it and I put it on a stalk at the above the eye, and there she is. That's the finished body. Nice bit of texture all over that. I'm just going to change that eye slightly. I did play around with the idea of maybe using a ball bearing on this one, but I thought no. So I've just changed it. I'm going to change the shape of it a bit more and drop a slightly smaller eye in. And this is that bacon bond, so it's like a glue that you can also use to sort of draw like veins and things, I suppose. And when it bakes like clay. But there she is. So I'm just going to smooth out any fingerprints that I've left on the eyeballs here. I'm not too worried because I know I'm going to be coating them in UV resin. And just getting finding any final shapes, any bumps, things like that. But that's her there. Base coated. So base coated in a dark blue, watered down, and then I'm going in now with stippling with a purple. This is the base colour that I want Sally to be. Because I think that if you remember the first one, which we'll show before and after at the end, it was very blue, it was very dark. Whereas this one, want a bit more character and a bit more sort of life to her. So just going around, stippling on, and getting this purple on, and then I'll use progressively lighter shades, just adding a lighter blue, just to get the highlighted areas. So this is where I've added some light blue, and I'm just going to go in now around the lips and the eyes, sort of around the eyes and things. And this is just to add a bit more sort of colour variation, so it isn't as flat. But you can see already it's starting to come to life, and it's so much fun just making this and then painting it. I'm glad I've decided to dip into Polymer Clay, and I'm looking forward to the next project actually. So you can see there, so I'm just again dry brushing back up again, a bit lighter, dabbing it on around the raised areas. If I put too much on, you'll see me wipe it away with my finger. It's easy enough to do. But all those, if you look on, especially on the back, you'll see there all those areas that I've added that extra texture with the ball stylus and things. It's all starting to pop now. So anywhere where the light would hit more prominent from above, that's where I'm adding bits more. And then see, just use my finger just to rub it in, because you don't want pronounced brush strokes. But it all adds to the finished product.
I'll be honest, Crafty, I do like the purple. This is nice, this. I feel...
I'm glad you like the colour then.
Ooh, it's dead nice, yeah. Oh, do you reckon I should have a couple more eyes? Because on the last body I had about 50.
What, you reckon you should have had an eye on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's something we can add. But again, just lightening up the lips. These are the most pronounced areas. And again, just quickly around the eyes. Now the eyes themselves started off with this sort of ochre colour. Just blocking them out because I didn't want a white eye itself. So blocking out all the eyes, and then you'll see me go progressively lighter as I get towards the centre, just to add a bit more depth to them. Because it's fair, the UV resin is going to do most of the heavy lifting on the eyes themselves. But there you go. So a bit of footage that I did miss there. So around the edge of the eye where it meets the actual flesh, I did a little bit of sepia wash and then went back in with the original colour just to blend that in a little bit. And now I'm going in with the lighter white on the raised areas on the front sort of bump of the eye. And this will all just add detail as you go in. But yeah, absolute joy to paint this is. And again, strongly recommend just go and have fun with this, make something and paint it. And if it's rubbish on your first one, fine. You know, learn from it and try again. I mean, I've attempted to make this Sally now, I think 4 or 5 times. And if you look at this in comparison to the first one that I made, I think this is magnitudes better. This is a really nice miniature. I'm very happy with this. But here I go again. So I'm progressively getting lighter, adding a bit more white to it. I'm just getting these eyes sort of blocked in. This is where all the character will come from. The silhouette and the face shape and everything, that's all good, but it's the eyes that'll add the character. So just finishing off, going around the edges. If I feel like the dark edges is too thick, I'll just go up a bit closer. And then going in with purple for the iris. Which I prefer these eyes to the old one, which was like a slit for the pupil. This one I've done a traditional, just a dot. So purple for the iris, then when that's dry, a black dot in the middle of each eye. And again, remember where you place the irises, this can have the monster looking in different directions and things. But just taking my time, not doing a perfect circle, not trying to. And I've done the pupils, and now it's UV resin time. This is one of my favourite tools. So just getting a blob on. Make sure as well the paint is absolutely dry, because the UV resin might react and you'll actually sort of bleed some of the ink and the paints inside the resin, and it'll just wreck it. But do quite a thick layer of UV resin on, because you want to show as much depth in as you can, and then obviously use the UV torch just to cure it. But this stuff is amazing. I'm so glad that I actually managed to get hold of some. You can see there, where the reflection comes from the light. It just adds life to it.
One of my favourite bits was this, because I could start seeing again. I like seeing, I like being able to look at things, because then you can see them. I've got to be honest, Crafty, I've got to get used to your language and figure it out a bit more. I might go and read a book. What was that one you recommended? Cat Sap and the Hat? Or something like that. But anyway, oh look at these eyes. Whee! UV resin, UV resin. You didn't like that one, didn't you? Sorry, I'll let you get back to recording. Sorry, bye.
Right, so for the base, so there's a bit of wire that comes out the bottom of her, which I then coiled onto the base, and then I've used hot glue to fix it to it. And then I thought, right, I'll do like we did on the Pokeball. So I've made like a spirally pattern, painted it in black gloss, and then I've put this colour shift on, which we used in a previous video. And then basically let this first layer dry, add another layer, let that dry, and do about 3-4 layers, and you'll actually see that on the final pictures, where the light catches it, it'll change colour from this lovely sort of purpley blue to like a red, sort of metallic. But there's a before and after.
Loads better.
And while I do miss the old solid dish, I do like this one.
I've just got a tank. Right, now,
how have you got a tank?
We're going to get this door, right, this one over here, look, see? Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to use this door. I've done a mock-up now. We're going to need to use that as a portal to get the rest of the blocks. But anyway, tatty bye.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Season 2.